make sure you check that out and load yourself up on some of the absolute best supplements in the world. Comes all from nature, not from a laboratory. You are a biological organism, so put the components into your body that help you operate the best. Also, Dimene.com, Dimene.com, amazing clothing line. We are a fight brand. What's your fight? And then grapplersclash.com, amazing app we're going to talk about in the news. That it's a breakthrough. It's a huge breakthrough. But anyway, I want to get to my co-host, Joshua Chauvin, the Chauvin One. How you doing, Josh?
I'm good, Pat. I am good. Probably do a little recap of last week, but I think I'm more excited for a fight that's happening this weekend than maybe any fight since we've ever started doing MMA Mobsters. This is big. This is big.
It's massive. It's massive. So
massive.
Nevertheless, let's go back to last week. The lights are still on at your place, so you did well enough to do that, and you could show me your refrigerator and see what's in there. But I'm guessing there's some T-bones and some porterhouses and some ribeyes. So you're pretty good at what you do. So anyway, let's go back to last week. Tell me about how you did last week.
There's half a cow in a deep freezer somewhere. Nice. We're having a lot of cheeseburgers lately.
Real food, bro.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I have to give Carlos Prates his flowers. The kid's growing up in front of our eyes, and obviously I don't want to sound like his dad or something. There's still a small issue with the chain smoking cigarettes and the pounding cheeseburgers and donuts and stuff, but man, he has a God-given ability to make men unconscious, and he has such incredible power, and he almost has that Alex Pereira death touch, a fellow Brazilian, where if he gets his hands on you, Pat, you're going down. No one's done JDM like that. Obviously, Makhachev, controlled in wrestling, kind of laid on him. Nobody has beat JDM in his own game like that. I salute you, Carlos Prates. I hope you can stay on your feet against Makhachev because you're going to need to. And if you can, it's that death touch, bro. I'm telling you. If you have it, he has it.
Nice. Great recap. And the rest of the card, obviously, you did well on. Let's move on to, we'll just talk briefly about, we'll cover more of it when we get to it on the card. Strickland versus Chimaev. This is huge, dude. Ticket sales have been great. There's like 1,500 tickets left for the entire arena. So they've done very well on ticket sales. Good for them because the sport, obviously needs that. And I think the ticket sales indicate how excited we are for Strickland Chimaev, correct?
Yeah, I agree. And I wanted to ask you, Militech, I don't want to be a victim of the moment and overhype things, but be honest with me, is this the biggest fight since Conor Khabib? Because I feel like it is. As far as the hype goes, I'm not talking about just me or just you. I'm talking about finger on the pulse of the MMA community. I haven't seen this excited for a fight since Conor Khabib like 8 years ago.
Could be even bigger just because of Strickland's notoriety, Strickland's ability to build momentum and controversy, and a lot of that. Of course, Conor's good at it. Conor talked a lot of smack on that fight, back in that day. But Strickland's the master of like just stirring shit up, right?
There was someone who made a social media post that was very clever. They said something to the effect of, whenever Strickland starts a sentence with, "Hey, you guys know what? There's about to be a fine. This just going to happen."
Right.
Paramount's about to pay some money whenever Strickland goes, "You guys know what?" Anything coming after that. He is, man. And I think that there's a little bit of a newness to it. Obviously, he's doing the Chael Sonnen, Conor McGregor, Colby Covington book, but there seems to be
But it's genuine. But it's
just
absolutely genuine.
That's the thing. I think a lot of it comes from his heart. He blows it up a little bit, but yeah, there's something refreshing and a little different about it. And you're right. I think probably because he believes 95% of the crazy shit that it says. I think, yeah.
So I was at Extreme Couture this past week.
That's where Strickland trains, right?
Yeah, I kind of gave a speech about Grapplers Clash.
Wow.
Explained what that is, the Catches, Catch Can Grappling making a massive comeback, what we're doing, and the huge slice of Americana history that is true, Catches, Catch Can Grappling. But was able to kind of give a motivational speech to at least a good portion of the team. And they're humming, man. They're hitting on all cylinders down there at Extreme Couture. I did not watch Strickland train. That probably wouldn't have been allowed anyway. But nonetheless, Strickland he's in shape right now. I can tell you that. He's solid. He's lean. He looks ready to go, and I'm sure Chimaev is as well. But both are big, big boys. Strickland's a big boy. When you meet him in person, you go, okay, yeah, he's big dude. And so yeah, both these guys, physically imposing, rough characters. So it's going to be a great fight.
Yes, yes, it is.
And then on the weigh-ins, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know if you saw the face-off, Pat, but when they finally got face-to-face, I had goosebumps. I haven't had that for a while. There was the moment where they locked eyes, and they've got 10 trained killers doing security, just waiting to pounce if they go at each other. And they got close. Strickland walked up like a movie, and then Chimaev, kind of a weak blow, kicked him right in the nuts. You would speak better on this, but that seemed a little low to me. But did that bother you, or is that just part of the game when you talk that much trash?
I think it becomes white noise, at the weigh-ins, at press conferences, when people are just talking smack and, cussing constantly, whatever. Between these two, it's probably pretty genuine, obviously, considering some of the things that Strickland said over the weeks, leading up to this. So, yeah, but kicking somebody in the groin or whatever, it's not needed, of course. But I am looking forward to the fight. The weigh-in and the face-off, while it was exciting to watch, and you said you got goosebumps, I get goosebumps for cheesecake now at this age. So I've seen enough weigh-ins. I'm good. Cheesecake gives me.
Oh, come on, Pat. This one was special. I've been there, done that. UFC Hall of Fame. This one was up there, man. This one was up there.
When I see cherry cheesecake, it's game over. So, all right, I want to explain a little bit more about Grapplers Clash, the brainchild of Jake Shannon. Shannon from Scientific Wrestling, and it's brilliant. So imagine, the cost of a grappling tournament, $150, whatever it is these days, the travel, the hotel, the food, all these things. These are expensive trips that people are taking. So now through the app, you sign up for the app. Once you get into the app, you can start grappling other people. You have to film it to prove that it happened, enter your record, and start building your record, and then moving into because there's a digital currency attached to this, right? There's coins, there's medals, then there's trophies, then there's world title belts. You work your way up to title belts. So without a promoter, without a manager, without people dipping into your pocket, you can make money. You can move your way up through the rankings in your city, in your county, your state, your region, and in the nation, and then in the world, and work your way up through this without somebody dipping into your pockets and taking money from you. And on top of that, you can get sponsors through this application and how this works. Then you can have tag team matches, you can have team matches, and you can win, like I say, titles and make money. So it's a big deal, man. This is a huge deal. So people can go to grapplersclash.com, get signed up, and there is a code where you can test it as well. We won't give you the code right now. But this is exciting. This changes the game because it takes you back to dojo busting, when people would show up at my gym who were angry about MMA. They were traditional martial artists, world champions, things like that, and they were like, we want to fight your toughest guys. And I would have to say, no, you really don't. And they'd say, no, I really do. And I'd say, okay, sign the release form and then take your pick of the monsters I've got in here. And they would fight them, and then they'd get the hell beat out of them. And then they'd join a lot of times. They'd literally move from different parts of the country because they realized that what they had spent their life learning was irrelevant compared to the application of reality, right? So, and then also I want to move on to this karate combat situation with this brutal knockout, and the referee one not getting in there in time as well. But the matchmaking between Stasiak, who's 0-0 as a professional, against Pacheco, who's 23-5 and one of the better strikers on the planet, they literally matched these girls up, and it was absolute sacrifice, and it's uncalled for. It's uncalled for in the sport, right?
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. That was a little disturbing. It came across my radar. Just I was online and I saw this pretty horrifying video of Pacheco. If you're not familiar with Larissa Pacheco, she is the only woman in the world to beat Kayla Harrison. She's a very legit fighter. Has mostly fought in PFL, so maybe has been a little under the radar, but real MMA fans know who she is. Karate Combat is a mostly standing affair, as karate is. They fight in a pit. It's been seen as kind of a gimmick, but they've got some decent fighters. Sam Alvey fought in there a couple weeks ago. So Larissa Pacheco comes in and just destroys this girl, and I'm like, I haven't heard of this Stasiak girl that she just completely elbowed in the back of the head and knocked out really bad. I wonder who she is. I look her up. She's 0-0. I mean, she's 0-1 now. And I was like, what are we doing, Karate Combat? And then I was like, am I missing something here? And then I look at the odds, Pat Militech. Larissa Pacheco was a minus 1,500 favorite. They knew what they were doing here. And so I tweeted out a little something about it, and people paid attention. It got, I think, over 2 million views. And I just got a discourse going, and several fighters and coaches chimed in. What are your thoughts on it? Because I know that people say that you sign on the dotted line. You got to take chances in this game. At some point, we have to have a little bit of common sense, right? Because it looked like Stasiak may be really hurt and may never fight again. That was a wicked knockout. And that's what happens when you put a girl who's 0-0 against a girl who's 23-5. That's what happens.
Well, I would say that obviously Stasiak is going to get suspended for the knockout, but what about the matchmaker? What about the organization?
Anything to make a dollar. Anything to make a dollar.
Well, the matchmaker should be suspended. Without a doubt, should not be matchmaking at all in this sport, probably ever again, to be honest with you. And it really doesn't matter who it is, what their name is. I'm not sure. We've got two different names of matchmakers, and so I'm not going to say a name because I'm not certain. But the matchmaker for Karate Combat should not be doing that job. They should be gone. And so we hope that Stasiak recovers well, and
Yes, we do.
and that she's going to be okay from that knockout. And Pacheco, imagine her climbing into the ring against a girl who's 0-0. That's, I don't know. She's doing what she's told, I guess. But
He's a little bit ticked off too, Pat. And we didn't talk about this off air, so I want to hit you with this live. Pacheco's team reached out to the UFC. They said, hey, we've got out of the PFL contract. We're ready. Let's get that Kayla Harrison rematch going. As soon as she's done fighting Amanda Nunes, we'll fight the winner of that. And then Larissa Pacheco has shown this email. Who wrote back? It was Mick Maynard emailed back, we are not interested, thanks. And they took that as disrespect. So she's feeling disrespected. I think she took those frustrations out on Stasiak, but at what cost?
yeah, well, either put her in the UFC. I don't know if they just feel she's not marketable or whatever, but she can obviously fight. So, UFC should pull her back in. Just, she's going to sell tickets if she's knocking people out, which beating Kayla Harrison, obviously she's a quality world-class fighter. So anyway, okay, so make sure, number one, like, share, and subscribe. Everything that we're doing here, please help spread the word.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I feel that I've got the number one best co-host in the world, and two, one of the elite, if not the elite, MMA sports gambling experts in the world, and I think you will find the same if you follow along with what he says. You'll probably do pretty well. I can't promise you that you're always going to make money, but you're probably going to, keep your
Win
legs
more than
on.
you lose.
Yeah, so anyway, all right, let's move on to the card here for Strickland. What's that?
And right before we do, are you thinking that this is the card of the year, or are you still holding out for the UFC White House card? I don't know, man. Why couldn't this have been in the White House? This is Russia versus the U.S. This is a movie.
In my humble opinion, the rankings of all the people on this card, everybody's ranked worldwide. Number one against number three, number one against number three, number two against number five, number eight against number four. On down the list, they go, a little deeper into the rankings, of course. But everybody's ranked, and everybody's pretty solid, to say the least.
So
Yeah,
let's get into
this,
it.
I guess, for whatever reason, I don't know the behind the scenes, but if you're going to do a show at the White House and having top quality athletes from bumper to bumper, this is definitely one of those cards, right?
Do you think, maybe to put on my tinfoil hat here a bit, do you think that they decided we're going to have enough issues with security with all these politicians there? We don't need the added Kamzat Strickland security. We'll deal with that on another card.
Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of the crowd is going to be people who have never had anything to do with MMA, who just want to be seen on camera, probably, right? So, is what it is. But nonetheless, yeah, this is one of the best cards I've ever seen, without a doubt. So let's dig into it, buddy.
Dig into it.
Clayton Carpenter against Jose Ochoa launches us on this one. And while these guys are in terms of experience and records and things like that in the UFC, some of the lesser experienced guys, they're both 8-2, both are undefeated in TKO area, and both pretty good on the ground. Both 3-2 coming into this matchup. And I know who I'm leaning towards, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, it's a small lean for Ochoa here and a small lean for Fight Goes the Distance. Neither are super confident bets, but that's how I'll be starting off my card, Pat.
Okay, and all right, so let's move on, and I agree with you, of course. Susakev against Santos in the next one, 1-2-0 in the UFC, 11-0 overall against Santos, who's 11-2 overall. Looks like a pretty good matchup. I lean towards. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let you talk this through. But quality of opponents for both of them, not stellar, from my humble opinion. But go ahead and break this down for me and tell me where your money's going.
Yeah, Basanger Sursakev. This guy was born to fight. He never had a chance to do anything else. Yeah, I think his line movement, he opened up at -700 on Caesars. He's now out to -800. That's a sign, and that's a very good sign for a guy that we don't know a ton about, other than he certainly looks the part of a blue chip Eastern European prospect who can do it all. I like that his line's moving in the right direction. I don't think Jordan Santos will give him any kind of issues, and right. I look for Sursakev to roll here. He seems like a safe parlay piece.
Are you looking at potentially first round KO?
I don't mind it. You like it?
What's the money on first round KO, buddy?
I'll tell you what first round KO is. I will say that I would rather just do first round finish, because funny things do happen, but I do like him to get him out of there in the first round. And that would be Sursakev wins in round one. Looks like that's +210, so triple your money.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
You like it?
Yeah. Anybody out there paying attention, pay deeper attention to what Joshua just said, and you got a chance at maybe cashing in. So next fight coming up here, Gomes versus Sabatini. Interesting matchup between these guys. Pretty good amount of experience between the two of them. They had to work a little bit to get into the UFC, which I always respect. And the Sabatini had some okay quality opponents on the way up, and Gomes, his opponents have been kind of at his level the whole way through his career. The right way to bring a fighter along, I think. So it's an interesting matchup, though, nonetheless.
Yeah, I agree. I would say Pat Sabatini came into the UFC a bit more heralded, and Gomes just kind of snuck in, fly by night. But both guys have fought to the level where they're at now. Gomes has overachieved a little bit. Sabatini's maybe underachieved. But Sabatini is still a growing work in progress. The ground game was always there. He's evolving into a pretty decent striker. And I think you can still buy some stock in Pat Sabatini going forward. This is a guy that, would it shock you if he's challenging for a title in a couple years? It wouldn't shock me. He came from a great blue chip pedigree. I think that continues to roll here against Gomez. Obviously, Gomez has shown us he's capable of some upsets. He's gotten several along the way. But I'm going to ride with Sabatini here. His line's minus 225. It's pretty much stayed there all week. But I do like Sabatini to get the win here. I just think he's a couple levels above Gomez.
Okay, so and the way I look at this is Sabatini absolutely owns him on the ground. Just he'll demolish him on the ground.
On paper, he absolutely should, yes.
If it ends up there, but in my humble opinion, if Gomez can keep this standing, he's got a really good chance of winning. What do you think his chances are of stopping Sabatini from putting him on his back?
Well, I think, Pat, if this is a kickboxing match, which it isn't, William Gomez is minus 1,200. So that's the key to it. From what I've seen with Pat Sabatini, I think he's kind of like a lot of these wrestlers learning how to strike. He doesn't know what to do some of the time. He's like, man, I don't want to go straight to the takedowns. I want to use some of this new striking, and he gets a little confused. I think game plan is the key to this fight. I'm with you. I'm saying, Pat, striking's great. You're going to need some of that against Gomez, but just go for the takedowns, man. Just spam takedowns. Get in his face, make it dirty. Don't let him turn this into a kickboxing match. If he has a good strategy and good coaching, I think he rolls here.
And to be honest with you, if I'm coaching in this one, if I'm coaching Sabatini, I'm saying, and I'm training him to start exchanges, to be aggressive, move the head right afterward, or enter on takedowns right away during exchanges. That's when Gomez is firing right back. That's when you've got to get in clean, or commit on a 3-punch combo or 2-punch combo, 100% to open up at least the legs to get a hold of him, as much as possible. So I lean towards Sabatini in this one. I think he can get him to the ground. I think he can get the takedowns and get the win. So I'm leaning with you on Sabatini. All right.
When
couple
you
off.
trained guys, Pat, I think we're doing good on time. I had a question. When you trained guys for a fight like this, was it more of a be water, my friend? If the takedown's there, take the takedown. If the strikes are there, take the strikes. Just be water in there, or was it you need to be shooting for at least 3 takedowns around? I don't care how good your striking is. How do you go about that?
It depends on the individual that I'm coaching, and it totally depends upon the individual that they're up against and how I observe the two. Some would be, like I said, some would be, okay, listen, do not stand up with this guy. You're probably going to run into problems. I don't want to program an athlete, though, at the same time and say, if you stand up with him, you're going to lose. That would be a horrible thing to do, because we always wanted to be confident in our overall game enough, where that wasn't necessarily the thought process.
Sure.
Where are the odds the best for us, and how do we get to those positions to be able to, win the fight or end the fight? And that's really what it came down to. So with some guys, it was, start the exchanges, get him into heavy exchanges with you, and then get the takedown. Other times it was, okay, this guy's a great striker, but I honestly think you're better, and this is why. You got to tell them why they're a better striker or a better grappler, to plant the why in their head so that they know going in. And then, okay, he's a great striker. That's what he lives and dies on. Go out and knock the living shit out of him standing up. And then when you do take him down, he's mentally destroyed. He knows he's done.
Yep.
So there's nowhere to win, right?
Fantastic.
So, so it's a mental game at that point. All right.
Great answer, Coach. Great answer.
Let's move on to Tulio versus Kopylov. Kopylov batting just above 500, as well as Tulio at 2-1 in the UFC, but both with great records, 14-5 and 14-2. The KO, the KO area for both these guys, 12-0 and 10-2, pretty high ratio of knockouts, and I think both of these guys have had kind of medium competition coming up, but both guys love to strike. I think we're going to see an exciting fight between the two of them nonetheless.
Yeah, this is one of those fights, Pat, where line movement isn't doing much for me, so I need to look at other forms of analysis. Marcel Tulio opened up at minus 180. He's minus 185, maybe minus 175 on some sports book. His line isn't doing anything noticeable. So just from my experience with these two guys, I think Tulio's a little bit overrated. I think Kopolov's a little underrated. And I think Kopolov's more experienced, more UFC veteran tested, and I like the underdog here, about plus 150 for Kopilov. I think this should be more of a 50-50 fight, and for some reason people aren't betting it much either way. I think Kopilov's a very live dog here, so I would put a small bet on him.
Okay, and I lean just slightly towards his opponent, Tulio. So I give or take, it's certainly not something you're throwing a ton of money at,
Sure.
right?
Do you think that Tulio is a rightful favorite at minus 180, or would you have it more of like a 50-50 fight?
I think he's a slight favorite
Yeah, which is
from
what he
from
is now, so
yeah,
sure.
slight favorite.
Sure.
So yeah, so but it's a legit tough fight. And Kopilov at 12-0 in the KO TKO area, he's solid. We know he's solid.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to Miller, Jim Miller, the legend. I can't say enough good things about Jim Miller. Jim Miller has been, I mean, he's already a living legend, in my humble opinion. Has had a million fights in the UFC, 27-18 in the UFC, 38-19 overall. I mean, the guy has been around for so many years, fought the highest level of competition all along. Amazing guy, fighting Jared Gordon, who's 9-7 in the UFC. Is this a almost like a Gordon's ranked 29th in the world. Miller's 45. I mean, if Miller pulls this off, is this his retirement fight? I mean, I don't know.
He, Miller has made a benchmark of fights that he wants to get to. He has already set the record for number of UFC fights. He is their Iron Man. He has a number he wants to get to, and I think he's maybe either 3 wins or 3 fights away from that. So Miller is going to be in our lives for a good while here. So he's taken on Jared Gordon. The bettors like Miller a little bit, Pat, and I understand it. Gordon, I think, opened up as too wide of a favorite. Miller, I think, last fought Chase Hooper and was a live dog in that fight. Chase was like minus 1,000, which I've talked about. Once you get to that lofty 4-digit favorite, you almost never lose. Hooper won, but Miller gave him a few problems, and Miller has won several fights before that. Fights he shouldn't have
Sure.
won. Very live dog here. Gordon opens at minus 350. He's minus 300 now. So I'm not saying run to the betting window and take old man Miller, but he's a very live dog here. And if he were to win, Pat, how would you see him winning? Jared Gordon, obviously, some pretty fast hands, but can be touched himself, and he's no spring chicken either.
I think Miller wins by submission, bro. I
I
really
like
do.
it.
I think he pulls it off on the ground. Uh, you know, second or third round. I think it's game over potentially. So that's my humble opinion. But and to be honest with you, if Miller was fighting my cousin, I'd literally be cheering for Miller because I like him so much. I'm serious, you know.
I like that. And
Yeah.
I got a quick question for you. And Lee, this might be a clip that we might want to get. So, your partner in the UFC Hall of Fame, has joined you there. Daniel Cormier says that Jim Miller should not be in the UFC Hall of Fame because he was never a champion. He thinks there should be a champions only kind of predicate to get into the UFC Hall of Fame. And Cormier caught quite a bit of heat for that because everyone loves Jim Miller. What are your thoughts on that, Pat?
Well, Daniel Cormier having his opinion is that's his right. I never question anybody's opinions. I mean, from my humble opinion, anybody that has 40 UFC fights and is well over the 500 mark, considering the list of the murderers row that he's fought, how do you not? He has etched his face on Mount Rushmore almost of MMA with that many UFC fights. I don't think people understand. I mean, the level that you're going up against in the UFC and the what most people attribute to, stress and abuse, the mental, the psychological, the physical for a career he's 27-18 in the UFC. I don't think people understand what that means at this point, right? So not taking that into account, when Daniel Cormier says he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. But look, Daniel's entitled to his opinion. I just know that a fight career, and I've watched enough fight careers and coached enough fight careers to see what goes on during that career and the mental, psychological, physical attrition that takes place. Jim Miller's a fucking Iron Man. He's literally an Iron Man. So, okay, I'm leaning towards Miller by submission in that match. Let's move on to the next fight. Grant Dawson against Rebecca. I like this matchup. This is going to be kind of fun. Both guys, great on the ground. Both guys can be put away standing up. They've proven that. They're pretty good. They're pretty good standing up though as well. But on the ground, I see these guys kind of. There's some pretty potential good scrambles between these two on the ground. But what's your thought on the overall look, and where would your money go on that?
Dawson can be a bit of an MMA bettor's nightmare. He is very dominant on the ground, has issues standing up, and I think people just assume he'll just maul his opponent every fight, and that's why his line tends to soar out. He opened up at, where did you go, Grant Dawson? He opened up at minus 140. He's now minus 175. But my issue with Dawson is whenever he fights a guy who can strike and just isn't an easy takedown, he struggles. And that's what we're going to see here. Rebecca has looked a little long in the tooth lately. He just had a war with Chris Duncan. He did not come out on the right side of. So I don't know. I think that Rebecca certainly poses issues for him. He can stop a lot of those takedowns and he can swing on him. I just worry that Rebecca's had some injuries and his best days may be behind him. That's the only reason I'm not fully backing the underdog here, Pat. Does that make sense?
Yes. I lean a little bit towards Dawson, so the numbers at 175 make sense, I guess, from my perspective. Okay, moving on to Joel Alvarez versus Yaroslav Amosov, who's 1-0 in the UFC. Alvarez 8-2 in the UFC. Both guys got a good amount of experience. When you look at their submission win-loss, both are undefeated. Alvarez at 17-0, Amosov at 12-0 on the ground, and both are pretty decent. I think Amosov has the advantage standing up, but also slide over to their competition level, mediocre for Amosov. He hasn't fought as tough a schedule, so take that into account when you look at this. So break it down for me, from your perspective, mathematical analysis, and all the good stuff that you throw out there, brother.
Yeah, credit Amosov that don't really care what your opinions on the war are, but this is a guy who actually took a break from MMA to suit up and fight for Ukraine. They're going to make movies out of this guy someday. He is a warrior through and through in every way, and good for him for being one of the few Bellator guys to come over and do well in the UFC. He's 1-0. That's better than can be said for most of these transplants from the Bellator PFL. And I think he's only got one loss. His record's crazy, Pat. Something like 32-1 or something crazy.
Yeah, he's 29-1.
There you go. Yeah. And so he gets Joel Alvarez. Well, Alvarez, unless he's fighting Arman Sarukian, he don't lose in the UFC, and Alvarez has really floated, I think, under the radar for a guy who's something like 9-1 in the UFC off the top of my head, something like that. And so so Alvarez is more athletic and electric and fast twitch, where Amosov is more plodding. I think, steady wins the race here with Amosov, but Alvarez can pull out a submission or a knockout out of nowhere. And I think, again, I'm surprised this isn't more of a 50-50 fight. It's not like Amosov is a massive favorite, but instead of having Amosov at 190, if I was a sportsbook, I'd have both guys at like minus 115, minus 110. So I think there may be value at Alvarez, but you're kind of needing that home run.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great observation, and that's why you're the best best guy in the business. So, and I'm during this conversation, before leading up to it, I'm leading towards Alvarez. I just think I think he's good enough to get the fight to the ground, but at the same time, Amosov, he's never been beaten on the ground. He's 12-0 with
Yes,
submission, and
yes,
he's solid, and he's got 9 KO victories as well. Guy's solid, and so God, it's such a toss up here. Um, but I'm leaning a little bit. God, dude, you're making me think. I'm leaning a little bit. I'm going to go with Alvarez by decision, bro. I think
yeah,
he's going to outtouch him. I think he's going to outtouch him a little bit
yeah.
potentially, and potentially get takedowns. But God, my intuition's telling me Amosov too. I'm sitting here going against my intuition the entire time. So
Hey,
you got me all
embrace
turned around.
debate.
You got me all turned around.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. And I
Yeah.
think, as you were talking, Pat, what kind of popped into my head, put on my tinfoil hat a little bit. I think it's pretty clear what's happening here. Joel Alvarez is talking to Hunter Campbell and Dana White and Sean Shelby and saying, "Listen, guys, I'm 10-1 in the UFC. I've only lost to Arman Sarukian, who's next in line for the title. I gotta be after that." It's like, okay, we're gonna give you a terrible matchup. We're gonna give you Yaroslav Amosov, a guy who is just a nightmare matchup for you on paper. You get past him, we can talk title shot. I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah, no, I wish them both luck. Amosov is putting his machine gun down to go in and
Jeez,
fight,
what a
literally.
story! What a story! Yeah,
Straight up hardcore,
really,
hardcore.
it's
So
really, yeah,
good luck to both those guys.
yes,
I,
sir.
I, even if I was a bettor, I'm not betting on that fight
Yeah,
because it's really a toss up.
yeah.
All right, moving on to Atiba Gautier and Ozzy Diaz. Both guys undefeated in higher level, although Gautier is 4-0 UFC and Diaz is 4-0 in the LFA, which is kind of the hurdle to get over to get into the UFC.
Sure.
So this is a really good matchup. Gautier has a lot of momentum coming into this. I'll let you tell me where I should lean, but I think I know.
Well, yeah, yeah. It's a lot of things to like about Gautier here. We'll get the obvious one out of the way. He is minus 1,400, so this is probably more of a parlay piece. Or if you like free money, just bet a decent amount on Gautier here because when UFC male favorites get to the lofty 4-digit status, that is minus 1,000 and higher, they win 98% of the time over the past 8 years. That is an insane number. Only twice in the past 8 years has a minus 1,000 favorite or higher male lost in the UFC. This is like investing in Coke or Apple in the 1980s. It doesn't lose. So, with that said, I like that Gautier struggled a little bit in his last fight. He won. He knocked the guy down like 5 times when he was
Sure.
visibly getting tired. Took some shots himself. Still won. I like that. Went through some attrition a little bit. Learned from that. Ozzy Diaz is pretty much here to lose. That's what he's largely done in the UFC. He's a warrior. Credit to him. But he is there to
Yeah,
put
he's
Gautier
one
over.
he's 1-1 in the UFC, right?
He is, but
Undefeated LFA, but 1-1 in the UFC, I believe.
yeah, Ozzy Diaz here to lose. I think he's here to put Gautier over. That's why we see such the big number. And I think Gautier's style, this is tailor made for him to do well. I think the minus 1,400 price tag is justified.
All right, when does the fight end?
I think we see maybe a little more patient Gautier after he almost gassed out in his last fight, or he just overwhelms Ozzy Diaz. I think either way he finishes him. I just don't know which round.
Okay, by KO probably. Okay. All right, moving on to King Green against Jeremy Stevens. Jeremy Stevens weighed in overweight for this match, and
5 pounds.
I think he was 4 pounds over. Yeah. So, but they did allow the fight to continue. So Jeremy Stevens against King Green. I like both these guys. I've always liked both of them. Jeremy used to come train at my gym back in the day, and both guys with a massive amount of experience, both in and out of the UFC, have obviously gone through a row of straight killers during their careers. Both coming into the fight 3-2, same records. But I believe one of them has 2 losses in a row. Would that be Green? I'm trying to remember on that, but
Green won his last fight.
his last fight, okay.
As a big underdog. Beat
Jeremy
Daniel
lost his
Jones.
last fight in bare knuckle, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Stevens had a welcome back to the UFC fight in Des Moines about a year ago, and now he is on fight
That's
number
right.
2 of his UFC comeback.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So how do you break this down? Who wins? They're both sluggers, bro.
Yeah, both sluggers and both veterans. I'm honestly shocked these two gentlemen have not faced each other before. Between the two of them, they have to have close to 40 UFC fights. So probably maybe about as many as Jim Miller between the two of them. So,
More like almost 60
oh my
between
God.
the two of them. Yeah.
Yep, well, that sounds right. And so Stevens has looked visibly slower. He's still going to be tough. He's still going to throw to kill you, but Father Time gets all of us. King Grain, I don't know if it's black don't crack or what, but King Grain seems to be aging like a fine wine, man. You loved him as a big underdog. I thought you were nuts. You loved him as like plus 400 to beat Daniel Zellhuber, and he smashed Zellhuber in his last fight. So King Grain's riding high here, man. I think he's the rightful favorite. So minus 335 on Bet Rivers. He's up to minus 385 now. This may be one of my favorite bets of the card. I'm almost just as confident in this one as I am in minus 1400 Gautier. I think King Grain absolutely rolls here and makes it look easy. I think minus 385 is a steal. I think it should be higher.
Okay,
Lock.
well,
Yeah.
he's a lock for you. The only variable that you have to throw in here, no matter how many wars Jeremy Stevens has had, is Jeremy will always have power and always be ultimately really a world-class fighter, to be honest. There's no other way to look at it. Jeremy touches you once and you can be done real quick, and it's not like Green hasn't been knocked out, right? So he's been knocked out several times in his career. Oh man, I like them both. I hate even saying who I'm going to bet on just because Jeremy trained with me, all that good stuff. So you have Green as a lock. I'll allow you to just lead the betters on that one, and I'll move on to the next fight.
Did Jeremy ever live here, or did he commute from Des
He
Moines?
used to come down. He used to come down and train. Yeah, he used to come down and train. So
Yeah.
I wish them both luck. They're both great fighters. So I wish them both luck. All right,
Yeah.
moving on to Sean Brady against Buckley. Joaquin Buckley is a powerhouse. Sean Brady, amazing grappler. Interesting matchup. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I worry about Brady in the big moments. I like Brady. He's on paper. He has a wonderful skill set. Seems like anytime the lights get really bright, he seems to take a step backwards instead of taking a step forward, as the great ones like yourself do. Sean Brady gets Michael Morales. He was a small favorite in that fight. Actually flipped from underdog to favorite, and Morales just starched him. It never really was a fight. Similar to when he fought Bilal Muhammad. That's Bilal Muhammad's only knockout, I think, in his life, or definitely in the UFC, where he got Sean Brady. And he gets Buckley here, and Brady minus 215. Bettors seem to agree with me here. He's dropped about 30 points. He's now minus 175. I mean, yeah, really, what's Sean Brady's biggest win? Gilbert Burns, who literally just retired from MMA a couple weeks ago. So I worry about Brady here. Buckley is far from a sure thing. He's very hot and cold. I think we have two hot and cold guys here. So either way, it's not going to be a huge bet for me, but I will take a little stab on the underdog with Joaquin Buckley just because I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Okay. Well, and I'm leaning towards Brady. I think Brady can get the finish on the ground. Obviously, needs to be very careful on the feet with Buckley. Buckley packing a massive amount of power.
Yes.
But I think Brady can get it done on the ground if he approaches this fight correctly. So I'm leaning towards Sean Brady on this one. All right, moving on. Oh, Alexander Volkov against Waldo Costa Acosta. 10-2 for Acosta, 13-5 for Volkov. Volkov, I thought was going to be, the next coming. At one time, he's run into some roadblocks here and there, but what's your thoughts on this with these guys? Volkov has a fleet of KOs. He's got 24 KO wins. Guy obviously very dangerous on his feet. Not quite as good, of course, on the ground game. At 4-3, barely batting 500. So we know where his game is. We know where Acosta is. Break this down for me. I mean, one guy's got a massive amount of experience. The other guy a good amount. Talk me through it.
Well, don't give up on those dreams of Volkov being champion quite yet, because it's still possible. As barren as the heavyweight division is, Pat Militech, you're right. Volkov still has the tools to make a title run. Would it shock you? It wouldn't shock me. Part of that title run's going to be getting past Waldo or Costa here, who's putting together a title run of himself. Tremendous matchmaking by Mitch McMahon and Sean Shelby. This is the fight to make here, and heavyweight's a little bottled up right now with Aspinall on the shelf. Now you got Pereira, who just keeps collecting belts from each division like they're infinity stones. Now
Sure.
Pereira's got a fight gone. You got to think that the winner of Volkov Acosta is certainly in line for a title shot here. They both deserve it. Both guys kind of came into the UFC, hit a little bit of a roadblock, and here they are living up to their true potential. I love it. Volkov's going to have a reach advantage here. He's going to have a reach advantage against almost anyone. They both pack pop. I'm interested by what the line's done. Minus 186 for Volkov. Better said that's a little bit too high. We're going to bet that down to minus 155. I actually like that. I think that Volkov is the rightful small favorite. He's going to be my lean for a bet here. I don't like to bet guys who have negative line movement, but I think that despite the line dropping a little bit, Volkov gets it done with that reach and that power. He doesn't have to worry about takedowns, which have been his bugaboo in the past. Give me Volkov in a somewhat close fight. It also wouldn't shock me if this big heavyweight collision goes to decision. I think you can make some money there, betting fight goes to decision as well.
Yeah, I like where you're leaning. I'm leaning towards Volkov as well, and then he's in position to do some great things. And both guys have certainly earned their stripes in the UFC. Both batting well above 500, doing quite well at 13-5 and 10-2, and both had pretty solid opponents on their way there. Both 4-1 coming into this fight in their last five. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting fight between the two. Okay, moving on to Joshua Van against Tatsuro Taira, 8-1 and 9-1 in the UFC, 18-1 and 16-2 overall. Both guys have some pretty dang good striking. I think Taira has better ground. Spit some facts, some numbers at me, buddy.
Yeah, I just want to throw out again that I looked at it again, and I do like Volkov. Acosta goes to decision a decent amount. It's
Okay.
like minus 170. That may be one of my favorite bets of the card. Moving on to this co-main event here, Pat. Man, I don't mean to be negative. I'm just not that impressed with Tatsudo Taira. His biggest win was Alex Perez, who touched him up in the first round and then blew out his ACL. I get that he has potential, but I don't understand why he's the favorite here. I would have Van as the favorite. And so if you're telling me I can get Van at plus money, I'm going to take a hard look at that. That's kind of where I'm at here. Taira opened up at minus 215, which I thought was way too high. The sports bettors agreed with me. He's been bet down to minus 170. Give me the value on Van all day. I think Van is championship level, and I really don't think Taira is. So my money will be going toward Joshua Van plus 140. That's pretty juicy to me for a guy that I'm pretty confident in.
Yeah, Taira he's had good competition, maybe not quite as good as Van's. When I look at them, the zero on the losses in the sub and KO areas, TKO areas, make me Tatsuro's, my humble opinion, 18-1, pretty freaking solid. Van is as well. I would in the odds. I don't know. I'm no mathematical genius, obviously. I mean, look at me. But when I look at these two guys and compare them, it's going to be a hell of a fight. I see Van has momentum coming into this. I lean a little bit towards him in this one, but it's tough. It's tough. Taira has never been finished. Yeah, it's a tough lean for me, but Van always pulls out the decisions as well. He's undefeated in that category, so I'll agree with you reluctantly and go with Van in this one. I'm kind of fighting my intuition a little bit on that, but I like where you're at and your thinking. So, all right, on to the main event, big one. And this fight, Chimaev versus Strickland, has been built up so much that I am surprised it's not the main event at the White House. Certainly, as we talked about, Chimaev, unblemished record, The guy's a killer, and I'm really interested. I'm not going to say anything more because I'm really interested to see how you break this one down and where are the odds on these two guys. Because I didn't look at the odds deliberately before we did the show, just so that I could give a kind of an honest perspective from where I'm at.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Pat, because the odds are straight up disrespectful to Mr. Strickland.
I
Chimaev
assumed.
opened up at minus 440. He's been steamed out to minus 590. As of now, he sits at about minus 600 on most of the sports books. That means if you bet $600 on Chimaev, you would only profit 100. I don't know, man. You know how much I respect line movement, how much I believe in line movement, how much line movement's made me money. I just don't see it here. I mean, and so I'll say this, and then you go. Chimaev, the issue was if he doesn't get you out in the first 2 minutes, he struggled. He struggled against Burns. Barely won a split decision with those. As soon as the fight was halfway through the first round, Chimaev's huffing. He's struggling. Same with Usman. Gets him down, almost chokes him out, and then Usman rallies. And so that seems to be the issue. If you make him go 5 rounds, he's going to wilt. I think he's just a really bad matchup for Duplessis. The issue with Strickland is he's very good at getting up once you take him down. I don't know. I mean, I have to pick Chimaev. I just think the line's disrespectful to Strickland. What do you think, buddy?
I think if Strickland gets this fight to halfway through the second round, 2.5 halfway through the third round, that Chimaev's in trouble.
Yeah.
I really do. Chimaev's going to have to pull it off early, or he's in some deep shit, in my humble opinion. Strickland, as I said, I saw him in training camp. Looks very solid, very in shape. Both are big guys, both big men. But I really Strickland's mental toughness, his attitude, his ability to get people off their game by talking smack to him, and his mental, his tenacity. I just think if Chimaev doesn't get him out of there in 2.5 rounds, he's in trouble. So I'm leaning with Strickland for the upset in this one, and I think that's where I'm going to stick to. Does he finish Chimaev potentially with a KO? Potentially, absolutely,
Maybe.
potentially.
Yeah.
And what would the odds be on Strickland by KO?
Well, I'll look that up in just a second, but I wanted to say if for those of you watching at home, if you're into live betting, I think Pat made an excellent point. If this fight gets to the halfway point, you probably look for Strickland to get stronger, that power bar to go up, and Chimaev to get weaker. And if we get to that point, Chimaev probably will be winning. He will almost absolutely win the first round. He will take Sean down, lay on top of him. He'll be strong. He'll be sharp. So the odds will shift in Chimaev's favor. And so don't go too crazy. Don't lose your house. But if you see the fight start to go late, and I guarantee you, if we get into the third round, Chimaev will have gone from minus 600 to probably minus 2,000. Strickland will be plus 1,000. That's worth sprinkling a few bucks on, man, because it's very possible that fight flips on its head and starts going very differently.
Yeah, I'm looking. So tell me, Josh, what the knockout for Strickland is right now
Yeah,
currently?
so our wonderful producer Lee is feeding stats in our ears. Looks like Pat's bet you like there of Strickland getting a knockout is plus 800, which is a lot.
Beautiful. Okay.
Nine times your investment.
All right. So if I'm going to bet, that's what I'm going to shoot for, and I'm going to pull out my prediction of Strickland by KO in the fifth round. And so I don't know what's your pick there, Joshua.
My pick's gonna be Chimaev 5 round decision.
5 round decision, which is the safe. You're just playing it safe. That's a bunch of shit.
That's what I do.
Go out on the limb with your check.
Now I
Go
Freud
on the
my
limb with
fancy shampoo.
throw your whole paycheck at what? No, don't do it. Don't do it. All right, so I guess that wraps it up. It's going to be an amazing card. I hope everybody enjoys the fights. It's going to be very exciting, and don't forget to visit cellsaviors.org. Diamine.com, and of course grapplersclash.com. For all the grapplers out there, visit grapplersclash.com, get involved, make matchups with people in your own town, your own county, your own state, and then around the country when you're traveling. You can just meet them at their gym, grapple them, film it, put your records in there, build your records, become a star, and win a world title eventually, because that's what this is aiming towards. And anything else, Joshua, that you'd like to add before we say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, shout out Hamza Mir. He's got 28 questions for us. We appreciate you. Hamza Mir has been around since day one as a fan. We appreciate you, man. I just followed you on Instagram. So he says he likes at Amasov as we did. He said the Karate Combat president's pretty shady. And then he has a question for you, Pat. I will close with this. Do you think Chimaev will fight him from the southpaw stance and check his legs when they are standing?
I think Chimaev is looking for takedowns early on, period. So look at what stance he's in normally when he hits his takedown attempts, his entrances, and that's the stance he's going to be using a lot. So that would be my humble opinion anyway.
Let's go.
All right. So for put your pick in the app or in the chat. I'm sorry. The winner, how it happens, and what round, and you have a chance to win. Products from Diamine.com and CellSaviors.org. And so, look, like, share, and subscribe. MMA Mobsters on YouTube and all social media. And for my co-host, Joshua Chauvin, the Chauvin one, this is Pat Miletich saying good luck to everybody and see you next week.
Enjoy the fight.